Hello comrades, I'm Daniel. So in our last video, we downloaded Unity, built a world, and placed ourselves inside of extended reality. And today we're going to continue with step 2 in the series, which is building out a linear world and traversing through it with locomotion. And if you haven't heard the term used in design before, essentially locomotion means the ability to move from one place to another. Now, locomotion is important in XR design because as creators, we need the ability to display information or content based on a distance in our position in the world. This means we need to move around our environment frequently to gauge our creative canvas. So in the future, I plan on creating a series of videos focusing on UI positioning and placement inside of extended reality, and that means you need to have the ability to create and manage a locomotion system on your own. Now, if all this sounds rad to you, let me know with a like, subscribe, and comment, and let's go. Welcome back, everyone. Now, if you haven't set up a project yet and you don't know how to in Unity, please refer back to my last video, link above, to get you started. And if you have done all that stuff and you're ready to go, let's do it. Okay, in order to build the world efficiently, we're gonna have to download another package. So what we're gonna do is go to Window, we're gonna go to Package Manager, and because last time we've crafted this world and we switched from in project to registry, this list should appear for you. And we're gonna go to Probuilder. So Probuilder, and we're gonna install that. And what Probuilder is, it's a tool that allows you to create editable geometry and has some pre-built geometry that we can use in our world and not have to fuss with it. It's a really important tool to actually like prototyping and getting stuff out really fast. It's kind of an industry standard, so I would suggest kind of diving deep if you want to get more efficient with it. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the samples and we're going to import universal render pipeline support, and that's going to bring in the materials that will help us gauge how big the world is visually. So once that's imported, let's click X. Okay, so this scene is a pre-built world, and like while it's cool and everything, it's quite cramped. So let's start fresh. Let's create a brand new scene to get us started into the locomotion journey. So what I did is I went from under assets, I went to scenes, and I right click, and we're gonna click create, and we're gonna click create scene, and we're just gonna call this loco, right? Whatever you want to call it. And you double click it, and now we're in a brand new scene. Okay, so let's create a ground that we can actually walk on. And so what we're gonna do is click Tools, Probuilder window, and we're just gonna grab this little tab, and we're just gonna throw it down here. I always do this. We're gonna click this little plus button. And this plus button will give us an option of different types of geometry we wanna use. So there's the cube, there's a prism, but today we're gonna go with a plane. And this blue material signifies that it hasn't been yet placed in the world, and right now it's 100 by 100 meters, and that's plenty of space for us. So we're gonna click build, and we're just gonna click X, and there is our world. Now every time you add an object into Unity, it's gonna place in the middle of your screen, but that's not placing it in the middle of the world. So everything you create, always make sure to go to your position underneath your inspector and zero it out. So 0, tab 0, that's 0. Okay, so now it's positioned absolutely in space. Really cool. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna add an XR rig. We're not able to bring it from the last scene, so we're gonna have to rebuild it. It's not that hard, but before we do that, we're gonna need to enable some scripts that will help our XR rig move around. So under Assets, Samples, XR Interaction Tools, 2.0.1, click it, and we have 5 gray blocks. So each gray block, we're gonna go to the top right and click Add to Action Based, Add Action Based. Cool, so now that we have all of those scripts added, we can add our XR rig. So it's right click, hit XR Origin Action Based. And what we're gonna do right away is we're just gonna zero it out. Perfect. Okay, so let's click our XR Action Base and hit F. Okay, so now that we have our XR rig in here, we're gonna need to add a couple of different components onto it to get it moving. So click XR Origin, and then what we're gonna add, the first component is gonna be Input Action Manager. And the Input Action Manager is like, okay, what inputs do you want me to attach to? And we're just gonna go down here in this XR Interaction Toolkit 2.1, and we're just gonna grab this little map thing and we're gonna drag it to the action assets, and it's gonna add it. Okay, that's cool, it gives us reference. The next component we're gonna add is a character controller. And if you see this, the character controller is this little spherical, or is this little pill thing that shows us kind of how big we are. I always center it at 1 because it's going to bring us our feet down to the physical ground. And then I always change the radius to around 0.4. And that gives our radius, you know, a little bit slimmer, a little bit easier to manage. Then the next one we're going to add is character controller driver. And this character controller driver is going to set like a min height, a max height, but it's also going to help us move around. So the next thing it's going to ask for is a locomotion system, but we don't have a locomotion system. So let's create a locomotion system. We're going to go to XR origin, right click on that. Then we're going to go to XR locomotion system action based. And that should nest it underneath XR origin. Cool. So before we dive into our locomotion system, let's attach it to our character controller. So right now it says locomotion system none. So you're going to left click it and drag it onto it. And we're going to have a minimum height of 1 and a max height of 2. The average human is around 1.5 to like 1.3 meters high. So this is just going to kind of suit the majority of human needs at this point. Awesome. So now those are all the things you really need to have done for the XR origin here. But the next thing we're going to have to do is play with our locomotion system. So the locomotion system is the way we traverse through the world. Right now we have a teleportation provider that allows us to teleport around, and a snap turn provider that allows us to turn based on angles, right? So I personally don't like the teleportation provider. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this 3 dots and we're going to hit remove component. So after we deleted that, we're going to go to add component. We're going to go down to XR, locomotion, continuous move provider. And on contemporary headsets, the way that we physically move around is usually on the left joystick. So unclick the right, and the snap turn provider, let's unclick the left. So the right will basically help us turn and the left will help us move. But right now the continuous move provider is saying, what locomotion system am I using? So you're just going to grab your locomotion system and drag it on there, and now that's connected. Now, if we put on the headset right away, we would kind of be able to move around, but there's some bugs that we're going to have to fix, and we're just going to address those right now because it hasn't been fixed for about 3 or 4 different builds. So let's go to the left-hand controller, and as you see right here, because we enabled everything, all of this stuff is filled out. If you didn't have this, like, you would have to do this manually. It would take forever. And if we go to the right-hand controller, everything is on the left hand. So that's going to cause some issues. So what we're going to do is we're just going to replace all of this left hand position, rotation, tracking with the right hand equivalent. So open it up by clicking this little bullseye. And this one is left hand position. So we want to find right hand position. So we want to find right hand position. So select that. This one is left hand rotation, so on and so forth. So when you're done adding all of that stuff, continue the video. Okay, so now that we have all of these added, let's move this world a little bit so we don't fall off right away. So let's click this plane. We're going to zoom out. And we're just going to move it around these axes a little bit to get us in the middle of here. And we should be good to go. Cool, so if we, again, click our XR origin, our dude should be on top of it. Okay, so let's put on our headset and see if it actually works. Let's see if it works. Okay, hit play. So it worked. This is great, but I'm going really slow, and this 45-degree angle stuff is driving me insane. But I got both of my hands working, so that's a plus. So let's dive back in, add some more things to this world, and improve our speed and our turn. Okay, as you guys can see how fast we were able to build that and try it out. That's super exciting. That's why having a PC is so damn important when it comes down to building this stuff. The first thing I want to address is the speed. So we're going to go to locomotion, and we're going to go to continuous move provider, and we're going to have move speed, and we're going to set it to 10. Now, the snap turn provider, some people like it as a degree-based system, but I personally don't like it. So, like, let's get rid of it and add a continuous turn provider. Now, here's a little challenge. If you want to figure out how to do it by yourself, pause now, and if you can't figure it out, continue the video. Okay, so here's how you do it. We're going to go to this snap turn provider. We're just going to remove it, or you can uncheck it, but just remove component, and then we're going to go to XR, locomotion. So we're going to go to continuous turn provider, action based. Cool. Again, we need to tell them what locomotion system we're going to use. And 60, I usually go 90. Cool. So that should get us moving a lot faster. Now, the next thing I want to do is add some things to this world real quick to make things a little bit more interesting. Press plus over here, and let's go to, I don't know, let's just put some stairs in. Perfect. And remember to hit build, and hit this X, and there it is. And if you look right now, we can zero it in every position, but let's just zero it on the Y-axis to bring it down to the ground. So now it's on the ground, and we should be able to walk up it. But, you know, what are we going to do when we're on top? Like, are we just going to walk up and down the stairs? I mean, we could do that, but, you know, that's going to be kind of boring. So let's hit the plus, and let's add a cube. And we're just going to bring this cube over here. Oop. So the cube is now in space. So let's just grab this cube and hold down Control, and you can snap it. Let's hit F. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to move this quickly next to the stairs. Feel free to play with it, move it around a little bit, but ultimately we're here to create a floor. Okay, so now we want to make a floor with this cube. So how are we going to do that? Well, if you look at these 4 different abilities right here, each one of them allows you to manipulate geometry in a different way. These allow you to control vertexes, right? This one allows you to control edges. But today we're going to use the face selection. So let's select this right face and bring it out. We can snap it out. Hold Control, and we'll just snap it out like crazy. Okay, so what we also do is just duplicate the stairs. The geometry. And we're just going to bring it up. And then let's just hit E. That allows us to rotate. Hold down Control, and we're just going to drag this green line. And we can just, let's hit W, and we're just going to bring this out over here. And we can just add that to the bottom there. Kind of cool. And let's just duplicate this cube. And what I would do every time, if this was like a normal project, I would be very, very specific about how I named all this stuff, because it gets confusing really fast. But for the sake of just exploration, this is fine. Perfect. Okay, so now that we have all of this stuff added to our scene, we can walk up and down it, but it's a little hard to see. Okay, so let's grab both of these floors and hit vertex colors, and let's just make them blue. We'll make the stairs, make each stair, red, and we'll make the ground yellow. That is a very loud scene. Okay, whatever, but that's fine. Cool. Now we have all of that built. Let's try this out. Awesome, it worked. Now, this may seem super rudimentary to some, but being able to design and craft worlds where you can test your user experience in vertical and horizontal space is super important, because it gives you the ability to easily assess how symbols and typography are presented in a virtual space. And that's why Probuilder is a rad prototyping tool. Now, if you want me to put up a video on Probuilder, let me know with a comment down below. Okay, with that, let's dive back into reality. Okay, so that was rad. So using XR Interaction Toolkit may seem daunting, but it is super powerful and highly supported. Remember, the more you play with it, the faster it will become. So in the final tutorial of this series, we're going to create and interact with objects inside of extended reality. Now, each one of these topics can get super deep, but the objective of this short series is to get you creating things in XR as fast as possible. Again, we are on the way to juicier stuff, I promise you, and the fundamentals may seem super rough and dull, but once you get used to them, everything will click. So if you like this kind of content and would like me to dive even deeper into these subjects in the future, let me know with a like, subscribe, and comment down below, and until next time, plus minus.